Just a rebel with a lightsaber dream. Lost my hand, lost my friend, lost my self-esteem.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Acolyte Rewatch Series. Today is the finale. After weeks of debate, after weeks of theories, and some of the most divisive conversations Star Wars has seen in a long time, we are finishing the Acolyte, and we're here to break it all down. I'm joined by my buddy, Star Wars Nerd, and together we've been diving into what works, what doesn't work, and what could use some tweaking on the Acolyte. No rage bait, no culture war nonsense, just an honest Star Wars discussion. And if you've been enjoying our discussion and our breakdown of the Acolyte, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share these videos. Those simple actions are the best way to help us keep this conversation going and bring more Star Wars fans into the discussion. Now, if you've seen the finale, you're in the right place. And if you haven't seen the finale, what are you doing? Go watch the finale and then come back to watch our breakdown. With that being said, Nerd, let's talk about it.
Dude, I was never harsh on the finale, even back in the day. I'm not going to be harsh on it now. Is there things that I wish were different? Yeah, absolutely. But the episode opens up at the end of episode 6 with Osha wearing the mask of Chimere. And I'm with you, Clone. Why does the mask have the voice changer? I'm assuming it's the obvious answer to hide who he really is. But I don't understand why, like, almost every mask and helmet has to have a voice changer or voice modulator. Just doesn't make sense. And
Where's
Osha
it
then,
hidden?
yeah,
That's the question. Where is it hidden?
There's nothing in there, bro.
Only what you take with you.
Not just Chimere's helmet, like Kylo's helmet, Boba's helmet, Mando's helmet. Like, why do they all have voice modulators, and where are they at? Osha then has a force/a vision thread about the ending of the episode and thinks that it's May killing Soul while she's holding a saber and her hand sticking out. And Chimere thinks that May is able to kill without a weapon, which is the entire goal of this season for May.
Bro, I have that exact same thing. That's my first note, is that somebody is going to achieve the mission. And I don't know why it just hit me when they said that. But I'm going to say that in the recap that shows you what happened with episode 6, part 1 of 2 things happens. And when the second one happens, when we mention it, I will tell you what it is. But just know we are at 1 of 2 in the recap. And then later, not too much later in the episode, but the second thing happens and it draws back to another Star Wars.
See, this is why I like doing these videos with you, because you pick up on shit that, like, flew over my head. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. And it might click when we actually get there, but probably won't. It probably flew right over my head. But I did say that is pretty much the main goal of this season, is to kill somebody without a saber, so that way that they don't expose themselves, even though it doesn't matter, because he's been exposed, not just as a Sith, but to Osha as well. Nice callback to episode 6.
He's been fully exposed.
And honestly, it shouldn't matter if he's been exposed to the Jedi, because he's not a Sith, as we've established before. And even Leslie Headland said that he's not a Sith, because he is the first Ren, and he has to live on for the next 150 years for Ben Solo to kill him.
Yep. According to what version of Google you get.
Yeah.
But yeah. Dude, we see something here, though. So we see that at the end of episode 6, Osha's breathing in the helmet, and she's just being with the Force, because obviously he says that in the helmet, it's just you and whatever you take with you. And she's breathing, but then as we start this episode, she's beginning to panic. She's starting to have these visions, and Chimere looks like he's trying to get her out of the helmet, but for some reason, he can't touch it. And we see that as he's getting closer to save her, his eyes go black. And
Yeah.
we've only seen that with the witches. And I think this is why a lot of people believe Mother Coral was alive, because they believe that Coral is somebody that taught him these moves after he found May. Now, we never get to find out, because as of right now, the Acolyte is canceled. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But as of right now, it's canceled, and we don't know why his eyes turned to black. I have a theory here that it's not him turning his eyes to black to see his vision. I think it's OSHA and then the visions of Brendock, and honestly, just the power that she has being this born as one, split into two being. So it's something that maybe she picked up from the witches, and as she's panicking and dreaming of Brendock, maybe the virgins is just that strong within her that she actually turns him as he's getting close, but then eventually she snaps out of it. But I have no idea why his eyes turn to black, and I think it's funny that OSHA, like you said, sees May do this when it turns out to be not what she sees. And which is why Yoda then tells Anakin much later, be wary of your visions of the future. They're not always what they seem.
Yeah, I did like this scene. It did kind of bother me then and on this recent rewatch of why his eyes turn black, but I like it because it is a clear indication of what is witchcraft and what is the Force. Obviously, May, like when she's having her Force vision, she seizes up, bro. Like she is completely like shaking and like I don't know. She made
Are you
some
talking
very
about
weird
OSHA?
question. Yeah,
You said
who did
May.
I say?
You said
It's
May.
same person, literally same person. Damn
That's funny.
it.
It is same
She,
person. You're not wrong.
she makes some questionable movements and noises. It was pretty funny. Kymir's eyes turning black was the clear indication that I've been wanting throughout the show that needs to be kind of tweaked of what is Force usage and what is witchcraft. And
Yeah.
like what I'm trying to say, I think I definitely was obviously the virgins within her, but I think it's also like her the witchcraft within her too. And that's
Yeah.
what caused him. I think obviously like if it's like Mother Anastaea's mind fuckery, then it's whatever they desire the most because it was Torben that wanted to go home and that's why he was able to get penetrated like that. I don't know what Kelnaka wanted. We established that in episode 7. That was just I think it was just a nice reason to get a Wookiee to fight under mind control. But
Well,
I'm
especially because all the witches were chimed in on it. So maybe
yeah.
his mind was fortified, but like not fortified against 50, even though it looks like 10 witches.
But I've talked about in previous episodes like Kymir's like compassion for Osha and May, and I'm wondering if like that was his desire was like to save Osha. And you know,
Yeah.
obviously her projecting off the witchcraft or whatever took effect of him until he snapped her out of it.
Well, it seems like it's Brendock in the background, but it seems so much darker. And I want to mention something, and it's going to sound like a joke. We didn't mention it last week, and I haven't really mentioned it at all, but I have said this on threads, and I have said this in the private circles. Episode 7, when they're doing the witch chant, and you're about to laugh hysterically, I think. That was the episode that I said it felt like the old Nickelodeon show, Mr. Meaty.
Yeah, bro.
Like I was like if anybody's ever seen this kids horror show called Mr. Meaty, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I forgot to mention it when we did episode 7, but episode 7 gives mad Mr. Meaty vibes as somebody who grew up and had the unfortunate experience of having to watch that show. But yeah, when the witches were chanting, I was like, bro, this feels like the show Mr. Meaty. But yeah, you
You're
can
not wrong,
see
bro. You're not
yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, you can see like what I think is Brendock behind him, and then he gets her out of the helmet, and then she's like, I know where they're gonna be. And then we cut to May, who's still being held captive by Soul, and we learn that like it's weird that you think it's this immediate attachment to OSHA that is like his catalyst for doing all this, and it is because he'll say something at the end of the episode, which I'm like, how did you get that feeling so fast? Like, bro, what are you, Anakin? But he's telling her, now that I have you, May, I can prove that there's a virgins on this planet. And I immediately write is like Soul still has something to prove. Now, even though he loves Osha, and that was like, oh, I want this attachment with Osha because I want a Padawan, I think we've also been slightly wrong. All he's wanted since he's figured out that May's been alive is like, yeah, I need Osha, but I also need May because I want to prove that we found this Virgins all this years ago, but I didn't get to tell the council back then because we absolutely slaughtered an entire tribe and then covered it up. So it's like, it's Soul's constant need to like be the best at everything that he's like telling her, like, oh, now that I have you, I can prove that this Virgins is here. And like, he's kind of telling you like his villain story. And then she's like, why didn't you tell Osha about my mother? And then he was like, there was a big misunderstanding, which I don't think he's incorrect about. But then as that's happening, cliche Dark Pip awakens and helps May escape, which was super interesting that Soul didn't see that coming, but he's just so emotional. Soul just has so much soul, but he's just so emotional that he doesn't see it coming. And he's like, oh, I was trying to do what's best for you. And then also like, you're not even sisters. You're the same person.
Yeah. See, I talked about Soul finally somewhat reveals what he's been hiding for 16 years. Now that both Osha and May are alive, he's bringing the Jedi to Brengdock to prove the Virgins in the Force, like we talked about. And I'm sorry, this is not what he set up in Episode 6, like
Yeah.
whatsoever. I do not buy for 1 second that this is what he has been thinking about to say to May for the last 16 years. It just no.
Yeah. I don't think he was trying to explain a villain story for 16 years. I think he looked like he was going to apologize and then's like, no, because you can tell by his face, like the rest of this episode and for the rest of his life, that he is no longer in control of his emotions. And he
For
just
sure.
looks angry. He's honestly fully enveloped in the dark side, and I am
He's gone
all
full
for it.
Sith Lord.
Yeah, I'm all for it. But yeah, she escapes him, and this is where part 2 happens. This is where the second thing happens. She escapes, and she uses the escape pod, and she says, "See you in hell, Jedi." And that is 2 references to The Empire Strikes Back in the same episode. Even though one of them happened in episode 6, but it got shown in the recap, so I'm counting it. There are 2 Empire Strikes Back references in this episode with only what you take with you and see you in hell.
Dude, I love that. I didn't put that in my notes, but when she said "See you in hell, Jedi," I was typing whatever the hell I was typing, and I peeked up and I was like, "Okay, Han Solo, get out of here!
Yeah.
Like, what do you think you are?"
Dude, I was literally at the gym when I heard it again, and I was like, yeah, Han. There's so many neat little callbacks in this show that like, I think once you really block out the noise, you can really appreciate it for kind
Just
of
wait
just what
till
it is.
just wait till we get to my like actual review of the episode. Like I'm
Yeah.
making jokes and all that now, but like I genuinely wait till we get to my review of the episode in the show.
I'm ready. But yeah, so she escapes, and Soul is like, "Oh, I'm gonna chase her down." And like again, I'm saying you could see it in his face, and I was like, Soul wants to kill May
Bro,
to,
he is locked in. Like
yeah,
he's locked in the rest of this episode, bro.
dude,
Like
he wants to achieve his mission. And he was like, she's not gonna spoil this for me. Like, she's not gonna alert the Republic. Like, if I can't have her, nobody can kind of vibes. And he's about to blast her out of the sky. And then that's when everybody's lovable ferret comes in. And Basil's like, this doesn't seem right. Like, I know she's bad. But also, I think what's happening is bad because I'm almost positive he overheard that. Like, he overheard everything or he sniffed it out of the air. Like, I don't know how he interpret stuff, but I think he heard exactly what Soul said. And then now seeing Soul about to attack her, he's like, okay. And he pulls everything out and destroys the mechanism, which gives May time to escape.
okay, you just answered my question because in my notes I talk about it and I'm like, Basil pulls the power to the ship, and I still have the same question as I from back then as I do now. Why the hell did you do this? Like he was trying to get her, but now that I think about it, you're right. I mean, the dude has worked around Jedi for so long. He knows how they're supposed to act and react and all that. And for Soul to just go full on like, hey, let's chase her down, like let's mow down the vulture droids type deal. I can see why he's like, yo, this ain't right.
Yeah. Dude, I love when our buddy Jungle Jedi in this episode sees Basil and it's like, Basil, how you doing, buddy? Like, I'm just like, bro, has nobody like cared what Basil's been doing this entire time? Can Leslie Headland go back and give us a director's cut of just, I want the Acolyte, but I want Basil's view of it. Like, could you imagine everything that he's seen and had to go through? You know
Bro,
how we've been
why
getting
do
the
I kind of want that?
Yeah, you know how we've been getting the from a certain point of view books? Like we just got
Yeah.
the ones for the original trilogy. Give me Acolyte from a certain point of view and give me Basil's perspective. And like let him be super pissed off when like Osha in the beginning is like, is the Basil coming with us? And he'll just be like, I'm right here. Or like when everybody's like, great, I need a tracker for my tracker. And then like his perspective of like him walking off and be like, why can't anybody keep up?
Bro, I hate to say it. I would spend my money on that. I
Yep.
would buy an Acolyte Basil perspective, and it's coming from somebody who just talks shit on Basil the whole time.
He's just funny, which is why like when I saw him as a Funko Pop, I was like, I need him. I need Basil. Dude, I know people were probably like, oh, you're an adult. Why do you need a stuffed animal? Like, why do we need anything in life? But like, give me a Basil like stuffed animal, or like, you know how they have those creatures at Galaxy's Edge, which is so awesome that I can say that to you because you've been to Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
But like, sell us a Basil, bro.
Pro, again, I hate to say it. I'd go full shill and I'd buy a Basil plushie.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'd take the bubblegum Tylenol and just add me a Basil.
Vernestra meets with Rancor, the senator that does not like the Jedi, like whatsoever. I don't know what his deal is with the Jedi, but I
Wonder where
kind
he's
of
from.
like, yeah, that's I'm sure Wikipedia has a entire page on them. They have pages for everybody and everything. But I do like that he doesn't like the Jedi because I know this is the highlight of the Jedi. This is the golden era. And I kind of want to read off. I hope this is, yeah, okay.
Well, this is the end of the High Republic.
Yeah. I kind of want to read off what's in what I have in my notes because I do have in here that I wanted to ask you about some things about the High Republic. So Vernestra meets with Rancor and they discuss her running a murder investigation without the approval of the Senate.
We would never do anything without the approval of the Senate.
She insists that she is close to apprehending the suspect and that there is no larger threat. Meanwhile, she also says that multiple victims have been Jedi. To me, that seems a little bit larger than no larger threat. Considering you guys are keepers. Fuck you.
You're peeper heaper flugendogens. You're like the fucking Muppet. You like the fucking Swedish chef.
Fuck you. All right.
Okay, let's get this under control.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying. I'm fucking crying. That was hilarious. Alright, considering you guys are keepers of the peace at the moment, Rancor wants to do an internal review of the Jedi, and I'm honestly torn about that because on one hand, the Senate being involved is what led to Palpatine taking over and the Jedi becoming blinded by their own dogmatic views and their fear of upsetting the Senate later on. But at the same time, they don't even tell the council what's going on this entire show. And they made it a point to let you know that they will not be going to the council because it will involve the Senate in the investigation. Rancor goes on to say that he believes the Jedi are a massive system of unchecked power posing as a religion trying to control the uncontrollable, which is their emotions. They project an image of goodness and restraint, but it's just a matter of time before one of them snaps and asks who will be powerful enough to stop them. Vernestra tells him that opinion isn't shared by the Senate, and he says, when you look up to heroes, you don't have to face what's right in front of you. And like I said, you can see that not everybody is happy with the Jedi being in such a high place of power. What is like the High Republic's books? Like, do they go into anything like that?
So there's a couple things that happen here because like Raincourt says oh, I heard you were off world, and
How's
like
your
I heard
stomach?
it make yeah, like how's your stomach? But I wanted to actually check this.
Did like
I'll do
that
it.
little call to Anakin, even though it seems like
Yeah. Yeah, he said
everybody in this show is making calls about Anakin, which is a little weird.
yeah, he doesn't say who will stop them. He says who will stop him. Like I had the subtitles on. He says
Yeah,
him specifically. So I
I
just
didn't
said
have subtitles on, and he says him. Like, it's very audible that he says him.
there's something I wanted to go back, and obviously I don't know which book it is, so I have to research it. But Vernestra, throughout her travels in the High Republic, has had Force visions. So it does not make her sick. It's in her head. And I had a note here, but I didn't know if it was true or not. So throughout the High Republic area, like I know she sees Force visions. I thought she had a vision of Mari Santeca before she meets her, but I don't. I think that's just something I know. Vernestra later meets Mari Santeca, and it becomes a huge plot point that doesn't get paid off until the last book. She thinks it makes her sick, but like her force sensitivity is so strong when she's in hyperspace. So she has these different visions, but there's nothing that's really happened that would make the Jedi untrustworthy towards the Senate. Now, I'm looking up here on Wikipedia. Senator Rancourt is from the same exact system that Chancellor Lena So is from. In Andor season 2, we learn that the hospital is named after Chancellor So, which is the chancellor who is there throughout phases 1 and 3 of the High Republic. Phase 2 is set earlier. So it's funny that he's from her world, but he does not have trust in the Jedi. And the Jedi do two major things towards the end of the High Republic that really piss off Lena So. The first is there is this thing called the Blight, which is absolutely obliterating planets. There is a planet in the system that is so sensitive to the Force, and that is where the Nameless come from. And the Nameless are help balance that planet out, but they need the Force to live off of. But because of all these Nameless dying, this planet and its need to have these Force eaters on it create this galaxy-wide plague called the Blight. And the Blight has actually been on Coruscant since like the early stages of people finding out what it is, but the Jedi hid it from her the entire time. Like one Wookiee Jedi named Buryaga figures out how to not stop it. They were never able to stop it other than one time on the planet Kashyyyk. But that was never replicatable. And when we get to those books in our book club, we'll learn why. But they learn a way to repel it. So all like the Grand Masters and a bunch of Jedi Masters, they sit in like the basement of the temple where the Sith, like all the Sith stuff is. And they
Yeah.
just sit there and they just focus on the Force to repel the Blight and just keep it from growing. Well, they never tell the Chancellor about that. And then they figure out a way to fix the Blight problem. And they don't really give her much information on that either. They're just like, trust me. But she's trusted them the entire time. I mean, when the Nihil like stared her in the face and were like, you lost, she bet on the Jedi to win. So it's weird that this is happening. I had a feeling that maybe Raincourt's planet was in the occlusion zone and was oppressed by the Nihil Marauders. There's nothing like official about that, but I don't know why they're becoming so weary. But obviously, he's on to something. Obviously, he's going to be right about everything, and he
Yeah.
prophesizes the entire prequels. But the one main thing is that the Blight's been on Coruscant, and the Jedi never tell him. The Jedi even pretty much tell her, like, "Hey, we don't have a duty to tell you anything. We help the Republic because it's what's best, but we owe nothing to the Republic."
Okay.
Yep. So, and maybe that could be the start of it. Maybe it's years of, hey, we're helping because we want to, but we owe nothing to the Republic.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I know that was a long ramble, but that's a kind of what's going on. Also, Vernestra's ship is named after her first Padawan, whose name is Imri Kantaro, if I can pronounce it. I think that's how or Imri Kantaros, and that's her first Padawan. So her name, I think her ship is named the Kantaros or something like that.
Okay. So where the hell does Chimera fit in?
Imri was her Padawan when she was 16, and by the time she's 18,
Okay,
um,
okay.
yeah, by the time she's 18, he's still alive. I think it's told that she mentions him in passing in the Wayseeker book because obviously she's much older. But yeah, he is passed away. But he does not pass away during the High Republic novels. He lives out of it, and he kind of goes on to do his own thing and become his own Jedi. But when I tell you, like, oh, Vernestra had a Padawan that wanted to turn to the dark side, it was a young Imri Kantaros who turned to the dark side, and she brought him back.
Okay. But she couldn't
Yeah,
bring Chimera back.
yeah. Well, that
Getting a
happens
little
when
bit of TLJ Luke vibes from Miss Vernestra here.
that is. It's the
Able to
one
redeem
thing.
one person from the dark side. Second person's not redeemable.
Yeah. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm not getting fooled twice. As a wise man once said.
No, that is very interesting though. And every time we talk about the High Republic, I can't wait to get to those books. I'm saving
Yeah.
them for book club. I don't want to like read ahead on those books.
We'll be there soon, and yeah, and you'll see, like, I've given this a lot of praise, honestly, ever since episode 4. But the one thing I will not praise about this show, and nobody would ever prove me wrong about it, I have way too much knowledge to be proven wrong about it, is that Vernestra in the Acolyte is nothing like Vernestra in the book. So yeah, like, yeah, you as somebody who likes Luke and the TLJ stuff, yes, it is very similar. But also I think it's even more egregious because, and this is just like a small justification, I'm not trying to downplay your frustration towards it or anything, but like, Luke at least has shown signs of wanting to do it. Vernestra's never shown a sign at all, and then she just does it. And then I know we block out all the outside noise, but we find out later that the author who writes most of Vernestra's stories and was tasked to write the tie-in novel was not consulted about Vernestra's character, and found out that people hated her character as the episodes was airing, and went back and rewrote the book. So we know that as a fact.
Yeah, that's just a massive problem in general,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that is Lucasfilm or Disney putting that blockade up, because she's not the only instance like with that. They won't talk to Timothy Zahn for Ahsoka or Ahsoka
Yeah.
season 2.
It was a Leslie
Absolutely,
Headland thing
yeah.
specifically. For this
Yeah,
one,
but
it
I'm
was
wondering
specifically Leslie Headland.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if like they're not allowed to, if that's a like a Lucasfilm or Disney thing, or like mainly a Disney thing. Like, hey, no,
Do you want me to
I
read you
don't
the
know.
foreword to A New Dawn? I'll read you the foreword to A New Dawn written by Dave Filoni
It's
that says
supposed to be all one continuous
one
continuity.
one continuity, and it's fallen apart. And honestly, we're going back to the legend stuff again. Like, we're going back to where we're going to have different people writing different things and maybe some stuff happening. But like, we already have it going on. We have a Vernestra that doesn't line up with the books. We have a K2SO story that doesn't line up with the comics, which I'm still okay with. Like, I'm not angry about the K2SO thing. I am angry about the Vernestra thing though. But like, it's already happening when we were promised one continuity. But I have a video coming out about that, how all that is a problem. I can't say it any other way. I also already have an essay about it with a bunch of sources listed for it. So I try to do my due diligence whenever I do these essays. If you want to check out those essays, they're on my threads and on my Substack. But yeah.
Oh,
So
excuse me.
then we jump back in
We
to
get to see Creepery McCreeper Pants for the first time ever in live action. Mister,
I
have
haven't
you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Creeper? Chimera and Osha leave to go to Brendok to find May, and we get a nice little up close shot of a nasty little Mune spying on them. And I don't think he's spying on them. I think see,
Dude, I
It's
have a
an
theory
age
right now.
thing. Let's hear it.
So you have theorized that this area is Baldemnic, right? Like this is
Yeah.
where they find Cortosis, and there's a lot of stuff in the Plagueis novel that leads them to Baldemnic. I think the only reason that Plagueis has shown up because Plagueis is not working with Chimere. I think if Plagueis was working with Chimere, we would see Plagueis again at the end when him and Osha return. But he's not there when they return as far as we see. I think he is only shown up to this specific area because of what happens to Osha right in the very beginning of the episode, where she has that force vision and has kind of lost control and has released that witchcraft on Chimere. And I think that just immediate strength in the force and in witchcraft, like he senses that. Like he's like Vegeta and senses a power level over 9,000, immediately has to go check it out because if this is Baldemnic, then he's not that far away.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't have anything to rebuttal it. It's a really good theory. If it's like 80 years before the Phantom Menace, though, because I know they wanted to say it's like 100 years, but they messed up in the opening crawl. It's like actually 80 years. I don't know, man. That's just
It's 100 years before Phantom Menace, I think. So that would make it,
it's
what,
100
91 years before Anakin's born?
maybe. I don't know. They need to adopt your fucking before Anakin's birth and after Anakin's birth timeline. It makes it so much easier to like do the shit really quickly. But I'm
Yeah.
also just really bad with numbers.
Yeah, math is hard. I think I think it's 100 years before the Phantom Menace. So I think we're 90 years before the birth of Anakin. And I think that's why we see so he would be somewhere, I think we've said it before, somewhere between 50 18.
Yeah, something like that.
It says around 90 to 100 years old, around 67 BBY. Then that means his birth would fall somewhere between 160 and 150 BBY. That means that this would place Plagueis at approximately 20 to 40 years old, depending on the exact birth year you assume with the Legends ranges. And it says moons typically live to be 100 to 120 years old, but Plagueis is described to be as middle-aged or older by the time he trained Sidious in 67 to 52. But also we know here that people with the Force live longer because Vernestra species doesn't usually live as long. So yeah, we're at around 20 to 40, with I think the earliest that we calculated being around 15. So either he's a moody teenager or he's somewhere in his early adulthood. But also we do not know how Moon's age, but also how creepy does he look? Because like we've seen Moons in Clone Wars and they don't look anything like that.
Bro, fucking, you're telling me that Sand Hill is supposed to be looking like that? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Attack of the Clones, Sand Hill does not look anything like that. But then again, corruption of the dark side.
Yeah,
But he does look very
really
creepy, and it is his first live action appearance. It just feels like a waste of a cameo for me because you do nothing with this character. There was no lead up to him before this, during this, or after this. He just shows up and then that's it. Like you cut it out, you miss nothing. I had to go back and actually rewind it because I was like, oh fuck, I missed the Plagueis cameo.
Yeah, I thought it happened later. I thought it happened right at the very end. I forgot that it happened in the middle. See,
No, I was taking notes and I missed it, and then I was watching it. I got all the way to the Chimere and Soul fight, and I was like, fuck.
that's what I'm saying. I thought it happened at the end when they returned and then he peeked out and I'm like, oh, he's right there. But then I remember it being so much slower, but also the first time when you're just seeing it, it just hits you all at once. So I think for a lot of people we're excited to see it. I think there were a few that were angry to have seen it. But ultimately his appearance, like I've been saying, this is the Acolyte. Like this episode is the Acolyte.
I
Everything else was
100% agree with you on that. This is the start of the Acolyte, and
yep.
I could do
Everything else
without
was a
the rest of
precursor.
the shit except for episode 5. Give me episode 5 and episode 8, and give me the rest of the story that was season 2 that's actually season 1.
Give me episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But the reason why they show him is because at this point, I mean, when they film this, you don't film these shows thinking, yeah, this is a one and done, unless you are told specifically this is a one and done. I've mentioned this before that they did operate under the thought that they were guaranteed a second season. I don't think
Yeah.
that they thought that there would be any blowback. And unfortunately there was, and it got canceled. Right, not too long after this episode aired, Disney made a decision that they would cancel the show, and now the hopes of releasing AI generated content on Disney Plus, which I'll just say this, and this is like, we can do a live stream or we can do a whole nother video on it. Disney just can't seem to win recently. Like, no matter what they do, they are angering or upsetting someone. Sometimes you don't have to take the path less traveled by. Sometimes that path is less traveled by because there's a bear. Like, so,
I mean,
like, there's a bear, there's snakes.
I'll just say this on that whole open AI situation. There's no reason why any company that has billions of dollars at their disposal needs to be using AI. So that's all I'm going to say.
I want to say that, but I also feel like they've been using it forever because, like, CGI is computer generated imaging, and
That's one thing, but
but
to completely cut out people that like
yeah.
actually do the work and to use something that's like, hey, give me Darth Vader finding out about Luke Skywalker being his son. Like,
Yeah.
it's one thing for YouTube channels to be doing it because I'm sorry, not everybody's able to,
Animate or edit. Like, I still
yeah.
don't know how to edit. Yeah,
But
I understand,
like
but
I
I
said,
also I don't.
billion-dollar company, billions of dollars at their disposal, should not be using AI. There's no reason. Just like they shouldn't be taking people's cinematography and choreography from fan films, even though they own the IP.
Yeah, I think that they used to be at the forefront of innovations and stuff. Disney in general, and we're not even just
Yeah.
talking about Lucasfilm. Like, Disney has created a lot, but it just seems like they're just constantly making, in my opinion, wrong choices. I think canceling. I was okay. Now, I guess this is where, like, people could go back and, like, look at my Threads post and Twitter post and be like, "Hey, you were okay with it." But, like, I think I also said as well in those posts that if they made a second season, I'd watch it. And I just think they should have doubled down. Like, going back and watching this, blocking out the noise from um channels who honestly I think are just disingenuous because they have other gains that they're looking to make. If you have a Star Wars channel and you're touting that you're making a fan film, and that fan film, though it isn't going to make you money because it cannot, but you want people to buy your lightsabers because your lightsabers will make you money that you can put into the fan film, you're not going to tell people to watch the Acolyte. I just don't think that that would ever happen. I think that people who have ulterior motives, definitely their voices were heard the loudest for this, and I don't think it should have. I think they should announce that they would bring it back. I do think that there's some tightening up of things that need to be done for this show, but ultimately, after rewatching it and losing out on and removing a lot of the outside noise, I'm officially part of the Bring It Back crew. I drank the Kool-Aid and the punch or whatever you want me to drink, and I think they should bring it back. And I think they just keep making bad decisions because, like, honestly, you can't just keep making single season shows. I mean, at this point we should know whether or not there's going to be an Obi-Wan season 1 or 2. Like, is it one season of Obi-Wan? Like, Ewan McGregor's already announced that. I just don't think that we should have to wait so long for these kind of announcements for things that just seem so simple in hindsight. But I just think there's so much going on at that company, and every choice they make right now seems to be the wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And I love Disney. Like, this is coming from somebody who loves going to Disney, will always renew their season pass as long as I live in Florida. But you can see it. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. They're just not making the right decisions right now. And there's so much flux going on at the company. Honestly, I will say this. There is a small part of this that I will blame I will do the cliche thing, and I'm going to blame the Star Wars fans because honestly, I think a good amount of them have no idea. I wholeheartedly believe that if they make that Kylo Ren film, the same people that are begging for it right now are going to be the same people at the theaters and then making a YouTube video shitting on it later. I don't
See,
think they'll win if they make it.
most definitely. It's a little bit fucked because like honestly, like yeah, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Voice like say your piece and then move on. But you're completely right. The same people that want it will completely shit on it. And like I know what I want from these fuckers. I just want good stories that don't mess up already established lore. But nobody can seem to get on the same page from games to comics to books to TV shows to movies. Because even though, yes, they put in that forward on A New Dawn that it's all one continuity, overall, they're still using the G canon tier list because anything that's in movies and shows overrides books and comics.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's
a lose-lose right now. Honestly, one of my favorite things is the books. I'm gonna make a video about the books, which might sound like that's not the case, but I love the books. Let's just I'll put that out there. And I love the TV shows too, but like I do not like watching one season shows. I
no,
don't
one season
I don't
shows
enjoy them.
are ridiculous. And but another thing, I don't want to wait fucking 4 5 years in between each season.
Yeah.
There's absolutely, it's 2025. There's no need for that.
Yep. Yeah. I think you can start from one and immediately start filming the next. And honestly, if Disney just immediately followed that mindset, hey, we're immediately going to start filming season 2, they wouldn't have canceled it. But since they had not started, they felt it was okay to cancel. That's why we're waiting so long in between Ahsoka seasons.
Yeah.
Now, luckily for you, the creator of that game that you were like, oh, I guess I'll play this game when I'm 30 or in my 30s, just announced it will not be, and like it's not going to be 5 years before the game comes out. Now, ultimately, I think it's going to be 4. I think he's going to be like, well, I didn't lie. It was 4. It wasn't 5.
Yeah. But it's just another case of over announcing. And yeah, I'm working on a video about that.
I think I'll just put it like this, and I'm not like a blaming Bob Iger guy because I think he's done a lot good while he was here, and I feel bad that he had to come back. It just feels like his heart's not in it this time. I don't think we'll see significant change until there's a leadership change at the top, because we don't know what the vision is. We have somebody at the top of Disney who, for all intents and purposes, feels like he does not want to be there, and he thought he was done. But he came back as a favor, and he came back
He
as a
needs to
favor,
quit
and he's
doing
fallen out of
favors.
favor. Yeah, yeah, he's fallen out of favor with the people. But yeah, he did a favor for George back in the day for the Young Indie show, and that didn't work out for him, but he did it anyway. But that favor has made Disney a lot of money because no matter what we say, I don't think Disney's hemorrhaging money on these projects, especially with Disney Plus subscriptions being what they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chimera is like, are you sure you won't train? And she goes, yeah. And he was like, just so you know, I'm not a fair guy. And she goes, yeah, you are. You gave my sister a deal. You want her to upend her into the bargain. I think you're a pretty fair person here. And then he's like, well, would you consider? And she was like, no. And he goes, your sister made that choice without even thinking about it. And then I said, this shows what I've said all along, shows how May has always had too much self-confidence compared to Osha, who always second guesses everything.
Yeah.
And plus, May also had no family. We have no idea when they meet. Like, they could have met 16 years ago, but we have no idea. We have no idea when they meet, how they meet. Probably would have gotten that in season 2, but I don't want to harp on it too much more. Because then we'd have to figure out how old Chimera is still. But yeah, after that, they all go to Brendock. And
can we talk about Soul locking in and sensing like where the divergence and like where everything went down is?
Bro,
like,
I think
that
everybody's sensing it.
Bro, that shit was so fucking cool. Like how he just gets out of the ship and just goes and like locks in and then just like walks off, and Basil's like, where are you going? And bro,
you know, like when you play like Jedi Fallen Order or something like that, and you get close to like those forced like things, and like he gets all these visions, and then like that's usually when you learn a new ability. I was thinking this because everybody's kind of feeling something. Osha's feeling things when she's walking into places. May's sensing things when she's walking into places. Even Vernestra is able to feel what has happened on this planet. And I feel like that's not them being so in tune with the Force. I actually think that's the Virgin speaking back to them. And that's why, like, when Soul goes into there and is like able to see like where he let the one bridge collapse and like everything, like that's why he's so flooded with emotions at that point, is because like the Virgins is throwing everything back at him. And like you see where like they're looking at the stairs and you're like, oh well, this is where Kalnaka came in from and this is where everything happened. And I think that's the Virgins telling the story to everybody there.
Yeah.
Everybody but Mog. Mog doesn't interpret stories. He just assumes things.
That's very interesting take. I didn't think of it like that. I just thought it was really cool with Soul just locking in and sensing it. I wonder if like the witches had like some sort of protective like spell or something going on to where they couldn't be sensed through
I
the
thought that
Force,
too.
but then as I was writing it, I wrote, but then again, Soul literally senses where Osha and May are right before the fire gets started. I
I
don't
said
know.
I had that too, but like what I meant was I thought you were going the same place. I thought that the witches, another reason, maybe it's not Divergent, is like because of all the witchcraft that's happened here, like the essence of all these witches are like tormenting the Jedi who enter.
Yo, that's a good fucking take right there.
And then, yeah, so then he's like calling out for May, and then Chimera shows up and is like, thank you for bringing her to me. Now, the only reason why in the beginning I thought that Chimera could have been trained by like Mother Coral or something like that is how easily he just disappears all the time. Like, she's like, you got, like, Osha's like, you're going to help me get this open or you're going to have to climb. And then I think he says, there's another way, or he says something, and then he just disappears. And I'm like, bro, did he just like Mother Anasaya his way out of this? Or he force jumped. Maybe he force jumped and it was off screen. But then
Yeah.
like Osha uses her mech neck powers and opens up the elevator gate. And then like the big fights ensue.
Yeah, honestly, so I glazed the lightsaber duels again. The lightsaber
Just so
duel,
good.
it really is, dude. Between Soul and Chimera is fantastic, except for the Matrix like slow-mo fall from the bridge. Did not
Yeah.
like that, but everything else is fucking fantastic. I love Chimera getting kicked, like butterfly kicked in the chest, bro. Like,
Yes, the Street Fighter kick, dude.
bro, just imagine getting kicked in the chest like that. Like the ow, first of all, fuck you. And then, you know, Chimera splitting the sabers and throwing them, and Soul just like making everything fly back. Like,
Yeah,
bro, it was
dude, he's so
fucking
strong.
great. And then he slices Chimera's saber, and I noticed his kyber crystals in his emitter, which is very weird. Like, most kyber crystals are in the middle, and
Yeah.
it kind of makes me wonder where the kyber crystal is for the Shoto saber.
Yeah. Well, I guess it couldn't be in the middle based off of the way the other one connects to it. So it has, I think both of them are actually
Yeah.
towards the top.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless the Shoto's at the bottom, like towards the bottom, but everything else is, yeah, I don't know. But yeah. And then, like, we see the fight between Osha and May.
Could
Bro,
not
even
care less about that.
bro, come on. I like the choreography for that. Also, could you imagine how hard it is having to fight yourself?
I give her props for that. Well, she's fighting a fucking stunt double. She's not
Yeah, I
fighting
guess.
herself.
Yeah, I guess you're right. How do they overlay her onto it? Because you can still see both of them.
Deep fake.
I don't know. Oh, okay, so AI. They've been using AI in the Acolyte.
But, you know, I just could care less about the conflict between Osha and May. And I mean, May is trying to tell her that Soul killed her mother, and she's just still not believing it. She's not having any of it. And yeah, the hand-to-hand combat is decent. It's nothing like Soul versus Chimera hand-to-hand combat in episode 5.
Bro,
Like, at
when
all.
May does that sliding little kick thing and like Osha like jumps over it, like I don't know what the moves are called. But also, I love when they both kick at the same time and it lines up the Chimera
That was
and
pretty
Soul.
cool.
I was like, bro,
They could have edited it just a little bit smoother. Like literally, like I don't know, like half a second smoother, and it would have lined up perfectly. Like I've
Yeah,
just
like
edited.
one immediately into the other instead of one merging into the other.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
But that was a nice transition. I did like that. That was pretty cool. And then of course
How did Soul, I feel like I might be jumping ahead here. How does Soul's lightsaber break? Like I was watching it, but
we're
also I was
getting
just
we're getting there. We're getting there.
okay.
Soul and Chimere are obviously there he so Chimere takes his helmet off. He's pretty much surrendering. The Jedi show up and
Yeah.
Soul is like, "Yes, you're going to pay for what you've done." And Chimere's like, "Yeah, they're not here for me," which is 100% true because
Yep.
kind of foreshadows what happens what the story that they tell the Senate and potentially what they tell little green goblin that may or may not have shown up at the end. But May shows up and she fights Soul and she steals his lightsaber and throws it against a rock and exposes the kyber crystal. And we get the first ever live action bleeding of a kyber crystal, which is cool in theory, but my issue with it is she does it way too easily. But I did notice that May she plays off of Osha's emotions because she waits to say something about Soul. She's like, I want Soul to confess about what happened here, blah 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 blah. And she waits until Osha's picked up the lightsaber and she notices her and she goes, "Yeah, did you kill our mother?" And Soul confesses about killing Anasea and she starts bleeding the kyber crystal. But it just, yeah, she's finding out about her mother dying and she's got a bunch of emotions running through her right now. But Kylo Ren's kyber crystal cracked. Vader gets sent into a force vision to where he like nearly dies, essentially. And the dude from Jedi Survivor, like there's a whole like explosion thing that happens. Like what the
No,
fuck?
I thought the guy
Why
from
did
Jedi
she do, why
Survivor
did she what?
I thought the guy from Jedi Survivor just woke up and bled his crystal. I almost thought that that's how quickly he did it.
He
I'm
does
almost
do it
positive.
really fast, but he takes the crystal out of the saber and holds it in his hand. Not just it's sticking out of the side of the lightsaber and I'm going to touch it like a little mood ring.
Yeah. That was also an accidental bleeding. She didn't know that she bled that crystal,
No, I
which is why
know.
she looked surprised. But also, um, I think the reason that she's able to bleed it so easily is because how strong she is in the force, and especially with what she's just heard. Like she's just done. This is gonna be a play on words, but I don't mean it. This would be one of those soul shattering things that like you've just killed your master, somebody who was literally just about to be like,
No, this
I
is
did it because I
before.
love you.
She bleeds it before she kills him. Like she's holding the lightsaber, she finds out that he killed her mom, and then it immediately turns red.
It
Immediately
starts
starts
bleeding.
turning red.
Well, no, because after she kills Soul and Chimera tries to touch her, she ignites the saber and it's blue, and then it goes to red, and that's when she's
Yeah, but
finished
the
with the bleeding.
yeah, but the crystal immediately starts turning to red. But literally everybody else had somewhat of fucking struggle doing it. Like we had literal force Jesus struggling to do it. And
Maybe he should
this
have been on a Virgins. If he was on
that
a
is
planet that was a
that
Virgins.
is such that is definitely the answer that they would give for that. Oh well, there she was on a virgins.
Yeah,
Fuck out of here. Fuck
I
out
just
of here with that, bro.
I just copped out. I just copped out. There's a Virgins. That's how she did it.
Take another hit of Socopium, brother.
Yeah. Also, I did it because I love you. Fun, bro, you literally just met this girl yesterday. That is the most Disney thing I've ever seen. Like Disney princess, like I met you, I love you immediately thing. But also, bro, she's a child. So, like, again, he's a Jedi and he's super strong. He only dies, I think, because he allows it. Like, even though she's super strong in the Force, and in this moment, like, everything is coursing through her, and it's her energy like all out, and then also there's the virgins. I think he only dies because he allows it. Because bro, we see so much out of him that honestly I think he could go toe to toe with most Jedi. I think Soul could go toe to toe with Yoda. They can go toe to toe with Luke. Did I think he'd even go toe to toe with Anakin? I think he's up there with the best of them in terms of how strong he is and
Bro,
how
all you gotta
like not
do
just strong but
is
skilled.
for him versus Anakin, all you gotta do is threaten Padme for Anakin, and all you gotta do is threaten Osha for Soul. Or check
And
his
they're
ego.
both and they're both going nuts, bro. I just think like, and this is me being a total Obi-Wan shill. I think Obi-Wan might be the person who has the best chance, and it's just because of the way he fights. Like
Good
he's
old
so
master of
he's-
defense.
Yep. Well, also he would also just make jokes and like pocket sand him or whatever. He would do something to piss off Soul.
Yeah. Obi-Wan is the master of rage baiting. He's
Yep.
the master baiter.
Got it. But yeah, so he allows himself to be killed. We finally see the mind wipe thing.
Yeah, and the only thing, like, I've talked about it in my Chimere video of why he's underrated. Go check that out. I like it because it gives me hope that maybe he found some information on Revan being mind wiped into returning from the light side or returning from the dark side back to the light. The only thing I don't like is it looks like Thanos using the time stone in Infinity War after they kill Vision.
Yeah.
That is the only thing I don't like about it.
Poor Vision, dude. Nobody's had it worse than Vision. Imagine killing yourself just to be brought back to life to then be murdered. Poor Vision. You can't kill me for wanting to kill myself.
But Vernestra and Jungle Jedi show up, and she senses that Chimere is there and goes, You're alive. And we get no follow-up whatsoever.
Dude, Chimere was out. He was dipping. He
Yeah,
was like,
he
I'm not.
he was Audi 5000, brother. Like, he packed his bags and checked out of Hotel California. He was the first one
Yeah.
to actually leave.
Yep. We're probably gonna find out that, like, again, because a lot of this show is about miscommunication. There was probably a miscommunication of like what happened then too. And then honestly, Chimere probably did do something pretty dark. I don't know if he slaughtered younglings or whatever, but like he probably did something that caused a reaction and then it got like it went too far. It was probably a misunderstanding and it would inevitably leave. Obviously, if he's supposed to be the first Ren, I think he kills Vernestra, which would be so sad for me. Like, it would be so sad to watch a character I like not only become, for lack of a better word, an asshole, but then to die. So, like, that would fuck you. Your favorite character was a nice guy because an asshole and dies sound pretty familiar, huh?
Hey, I didn't say it. You said it.
You know what they say? Life imitates art. Sometimes I guess art imitates art. Yeah, I think he would inevitably kill her.
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
But at least we get a lightsaber battle out of it instead of just what we got with the lightsaber whip. But yeah, they go back and tell the council what happened. And then I thought she was gonna, like, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my god, she's gonna come clean to Yoda. And then I realized that she's not coming clean to Yoda. She's not telling him the Chimere situation. I think with what Yoda's experience, especially with what we'll see in the High Republic and for like kind of how long he's been alive, he's definitely used to people leaving the Order or doing the darks, like even potentially like wanting to join the dark side. We see it with like Aslan Rel in the High Republic, but I don't think he'd be ready for what Chimere was doing. Like, it's not really, I guess it's not really the same. Even though Aslan Rel does slaughter a whole bunch of people just so they never find out where the Nameless are from. But yeah, like I thought she was going to come clean, which would have led her to be in trouble. But instead, she was going to tell him about Soul and Indara, which I think is just like it's still damning for them, and it's going to be, hey, we need to talk because I just told the Republic about this. Now they are going to do this internal investigation. And this is probably the pivotal thing that gets the Jedi intertwined with the Republic to where the Jedi can no longer say, hey, we helped the Republic, but we don't have to. Like, this will be I think this is the pivotal thing that leads us down the dark slope all the way to the prequels, where this one instance and what happens with Soul and Indara and Osha and May leads it to where they do an internal review and investigation of the Jedi, and they realize that, hey, these people need to be kept in check.
I can see that. Most definitely. Yeah, because they suck.
Bro, could you imagine if they used Phantom Menace Puppet Yoda as the High Republic Puppet Yoda? Like if they ever showed the face, so you turn around and you have episode 1. I just think that if you're gonna replace it with CGI for Phantom Menace, that Yoda should have also been CGI. Especially because he's gonna be 100 years younger.
Fuck you. Puppet Yoda is superior.
No, dude. I need middle-aged Yoda with like a full-on goatee and stuff.
That'd be great.
But yeah, that ends the show. Other than we get that like the little passing by of Osha and Chimere, where that was where I was like, okay, Plagueis just happened to like Plagueis sensed the power and found this. He's not working with Chimere. But yeah, that finishes. We have finished the Acolyte. It took us a
Yeah.
few months, but we finished it. I don't know about you. I'm very glad we did it. Like with all the theories of what could happen or why this might happen, or even last episode, my scientific explanation of why rock was on fire. Like, I think all of it has just been super fun, and I've been glad to do it with you because like we're yin and yangs, bro. I don't know. I've had a great time, and I can't wait to do it with other shows. We're gonna start with this. Let's rate the episode, and then we'll rate the show.
All right. So I said that honestly, after watching the series, if you take episodes 3 and 7 out, you have some pretty decent episodes. I said it in the beginning, I don't remember being harsh on this episode when it first dropped, and I'm not going to be harsh now. I enjoyed the hell out of this episode, and like I said earlier, I'm with you, Clone Force. This is where the Acolyte actually start. I don't know if I want a second season, but if they came out with the second season, I'm not gonna lie, I'll check it out. I wouldn't just pass it off. I enjoyed Chimere all throughout the season. This second time around, even the first time, he was great. He carries the show. And I honestly want to just see more of his character and Manny Jacinto in the future of Star Wars. Overall, I had a more enjoyable time watching and covering this show without all the outside noise and all the outside influence. Still not the biggest fan of this show, but like with all Star Wars, I'm able to pick out some things that I like Soul's character, even though he's the true Sith Lord and he's annoying. Chimere as a whole, the saber fights, the costume designs by Jessica Bryan, the makeup crew, some of the visual effects like the asteroid belt scene in this episode look fucking fantastic. It's just some, for an example. They don't save the show for me. I don't remember what I rated this episode last year, but I'm honestly I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This was a fun episode. There was multiple times when I was taking notes that I had to pause it, not because I was bored or because I was just like, well, let's see how much time we have left. It was because I'm trying to sit here and take notes. I was like, fuck, I'm like invested in this shit.
Yeah.
So it is a solid 8 out of 10 for me. There's a couple things that I would tweak and all that, like always, but it was a great episode. Overall, I remember rating this show a 2 out of 10 last year. I'm going to raise it to a brisk right underneath mid 4.5 out of 10.
Okay. I think you should give it a 5. I think you should give it right at mid for you. I'm gonna kind of sway you here. I think if I had to rate this episode, like my ratings have always been a little higher. I was thinking like 8.5. I think I'm honestly gonna go 8.7. I think I liked it even more than that. I don't think it was like, I don't know. I was trying to think like, would it be a 9? Because like I kind of want it to be a 9, but it just doesn't feel 9-ish to me. So I'm gonna go 8.7 for the series as a whole. If the series was for me episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I would have a much better time because, like I said last week, I went into 7 not wanting to watch it again. I think 7 is so much better than 3. So if it was episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, like 100%, give me more. and I think it would be rated a little higher. I just think episodes 1 and 2 aren't as good. I think 1 has a lot going on, but it's just not as good. So yeah, this episode 8.7, I'm giving the series as a whole an 8. Like I think I had so much of a better time watching this. I don't know if I think it's also 8 because I did it with you. Honestly, like it's just something to talk about, something just to just not be like negative and like a hater. Because like I've said before, the first time I watched this, it was just so bogged down by all the outside noise, and it was just not what I wanted it to be. So I had to go back and redo it. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I want more of it. I want more of Osha. I would like I don't want May to play a huge part. I think she has a part in the second season, but I want that to focus on mostly rebuilding her mind, and then right at the very end of that season she can come back. Like they'll have her mind rebuilt. But other than that, like I said, I drank the Kool-Aid. I want this show to come back entirely. I want more Vernestra as well. Like I said, like I want to see more lightsabers out of Vernestra, and also without having to need a book, I want to see why she's the way that she is. I don't want to need a book to do that. I think they should be able to do that on screen.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I just not the biggest fan, and yeah, if they come out with a season 2, I'll check it out. But I'm content with just watching episode 5 of this series.
Yeah. Now we just have to do Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, very
We got Book
interested
of
to-
Boba Fett. We got the book club. I'm super down to do Book of Boba Fett because you haven't finished that one. And then I think after Book of Boba Fett, I think we should do Kenobi. So yeah, you've heard it here first. We've just made a plan for our next 2 rewatch series. We're doing Book of Boba Fett. We're doing Kenobi. We're going to do those a lot faster than we did this one because it took us months to get this completed. But life happens and we're not holding to nobody. So we do what we want, and we love you all for supporting us while we do what we want. But with that being said, Nerd, do you have any final words for the Acolyte rewatch series?
Not really. See you guys in Book of Boba Fett.
That's facts. Okay. Well, that's it, everyone. This has been our Acolyte rewatch series. We have made it through. We have broken it all down. We've theorized. We've laughed. We've cried internally. But with that being said, like Nerd said, we will see you in the Book of Boba Fett. May the Force be with you. Peace.
Peace.